Hey everyone, welcome to week one of Living the Life Luminous. The first week is all about your energetic body, what it is, how to work with it, and how to maintain a little bit of energetic hygiene. By now, you should have read the first document. If you haven't, you might want to stop the video and go and read it just so you know what I'm talking about. Probably could just jump in if you want, but it might be a little more confusing. So the first thing that I want to talk about is feeling energy. And that is that vital energy, that life force, that chi that I mentioned in the document. A really nice way to prime your hands for feeling it, because this is just one of many ways of experiencing it. Another way is in the meditation that you will be listening to and following later on. A nice way to start is with your hands. Take them, put them together, rub them vigorously, like so. Keep on going. Really get them tingly and warm, and that's what we're going for. And take your hands out right here. And what I want you to do, now that your hands are all tingly and warm and ready to go, is to slowly bring your hands closer. And just feel what that feels like. When you get to a point where you might feel some resistance, notice that, kind of hang out a little bit, and then push through it. And notice what that feels like. So for me, I've been doing this work for a while, and I have a pretty good sense of where the different auric layers are, and we talk about that a little bit in the document. And you'll notice that sometimes, like right here, I'm feeling a little bit of pushback. That means that my two auric layers are kind of meeting up right here. And notice that, feel that. This is also kind of telling you where your body's energy's at, where you're able to see, oh, how far out is my energy really reaching? So I'm going to push through that. And this right here is usually where most people, especially if you're not used to really feeling energy, it's that physical layer that people really feel that pushback. It's kind of like two magnets that are the same pole, you know how they kind of push against each other and you can't really get those two magnets to touch. It's kind of like that. If you're not feeling that, that's all right. Take a moment, warm those hands back up, get them tingling again, and just go right to here and try to feel it out and see where you are today. For me, that's interesting. My physical energy is actually a little lower than normal. I did a big workout this morning. I was pretty active, and I think that having a little low physical energy. So that's good to notice. That means that I should give myself a little more physical care, maybe get some adaptogen herbs if you know your herbs, or just making sure you're getting some vitamins and good food in your body, which is probably what I need right now, because normally I'm feeling it about right here. So you'll notice that this will change every day. So this is a really fun practice, and this is in your homework, to try and play around with feeling out your energy, seeing when you're feeling, what it feels like at different points of the day. You know, right after you do something really physical, what does it feel like versus a day of not really doing too much? What does your energy in the morning feel like versus your energy in the evening? So play around with that. Another thing that I'm going to have you feel out with your hands will be those chakra energy centers. And we're going to go over where they are on my body. Starting with the root chakra, I'm not going to get all into that business. That's right where your legs meet, right kind of at the base of your spine. So right in there, that's that root chakra, that space where we work with the energy of grounding, but also of safety, stability, physical body stuff. There's also different organs that are connected to that. Again, it's in the document. That's down here. The next one, which is only a few inches below your belly button, this is the sacral chakra. This is where we hold a lot of our life force. This is where we have our creativity, our sensuality. This is where a lot of that comes from. This is important for artists, for creative folk. I mean, it's important for all of us, but that's right here, right? Here's my belly button, and here's that chakra. The next one up is the solar plexus, and you can feel this out just even with your physical body. That's the end of my sternum, my rib cage, sternum right there. Right under that is my solar plexus. And this is where we work a lot with our will, our sense of self. So that's where we work with that kind of energy. Going up, right here, that's our heart chakra. This is where we feel love, a lot of emotions. And, this is the spot where, again, rubbing those hands, sensitizing them, and feeling what this feels like. What does that feel like to those hands? Do you notice anything? And if you put your hands over your heart, lower down to your solar plexus, do you notice a difference? And that difference could be in pressure, in heat. Just right now we're just playing around, seeing how your brain interacts with experiencing energy. As I mentioned in the document, all of our brains process energy differently. Somebody might experience energy as something cold, somebody else would experience it as something hot. And they're both experiencing the same thing, their brain is just translating it differently. So make room to feel out those different chakras, or even noticing if you can feel an energetic shift when you're over them versus when you're not. What does it feel like when your hand is over your heart chakra? Or your hand's in between your heart chakra and your solar plexus? Continuing to go up with the chakras, from the heart to the throat. That's right here where my Adam's apple is, right nestled right there on my neck. This is expression and communication. Up here, third eye, right between those eyebrows. There's intuition, there's sight, and then your crown right here. And this is where we connect to the bigger universe, our big connection point. We ground down here, we connect to the greater aspects of creation, to the oneness through that chakra. So play around with feeling this out. Again, making room to rub those hands if you feel like you need to sensitize them, and playing around with feeling out those different chakras. If you've already done the meditation, compare chakras that you may have experienced something rough in and see what that feels like with your hand. When you're in that meditation, let's say you drop into that heart chakra and it looks dark and weird and kind of jagged. What does that feel like to your hands versus a chakra that may be a little brighter or healthier looking to you? Let's say your sacral was really bright and shining and beautiful. What does that feel like versus this? Does it feel like it's radiating out versus a sort of divot? A lot of times I know that when I'm working on somebody and they have an energetic block in a chakra, it'll be like a divot or something. You're following this energy and it just kind of drops in. That means that there's something kind of weird. At least that's how I experience it. Again, you might experience it a little differently. So that's where the chakras are. And that's how to prime your hands for feeling energy. The third thing that I wanted to cover in this video were methods of clearing your energy from detritus, heavy energy, and psychic gunk. We mentioned a few different ways to do that. One is using like an iron nail and using it as a rub down. And you can try, imagine scraping gunk off and shaking it off with a nail like this. running it down your body, and using it as a way to just pick stuff up and shake it off. Another way is smudging. You all received a smudge stick much like this. If you've never worked with one, let me show you how to do it. You'll see I have a little candle right here. And I'm going to light this guy. You'll see this has been lit a few times and used. This isn't regular white sage, what you might normally be used to. And the reason why I sent mountain sage instead is mountain sage is a little more prolific, and harvesting this is a little more environmentally friendly. So it works just fine. You'll see it's embering, I'm blowing on it, making a little bit of a mess. Be aware of those sparks. Don't blow sparks everywhere and set a place on fire. You'll see it's really smoking. So what I'm going to do is first put out a prayer, working with the animist concept of connecting to plant spirits, putting out a prayer to the mountain sage, the spirit of mountain sage, to help me clear my energy. And it could be something as simple as, mountain sage, please help me clear my energy. It doesn't have to be fancy, you don't have to use flowery language, you just have to put out the communication. You then bathe yourself in the smoke, trying to get all your body parts covered in it. Around the head, around the face, around your back, best you can get it, under your armpits, and checking in to make sure it's good. And normally under, try to get around your feet, clear out your entire body. Let's see, I'll even get right under there. You can do this sitting if you don't want to. Try balancing on one foot. Or have somebody do this for you. Once you are done, you can usually wait for this to go out, but you may want to have a bowl of sand or dirt on hand. You'll see what I'm going to do is I'm going to extinguish this by putting it in here, burying it. You don't want to extinguish this with water. If you get this wet, it'll get moldy. Also, you'll have to dry it before using it next. If you want to just let it sit and burn out, just watch it a bit to make sure that it doesn't keep on burning and next time you check on it, you have a little stub. And then you have to go and get your own sage. And that's just no fun. There we are. There's a little bit of smoke, but that should go out. Another way you can work with herbs is using incense. There is an incense blend. There's a frankincense in your care package, as well as charcoal discs. And I'll show you, normally I use these fancy tools for doing this, but you don't have it in the box, so I'm going to show you how to do it with your fingers. You'll see that I have an incense burner right here. It's very used, as you can see. I'm actually going to use a different setup, though, one that will be closer to what you have. For this, you really should have sand. I have potting soil. There is a little bit of burnable stuff in here, so I'm going to have to watch it. I didn't have any sand on hand for this video. But you'll want a bowl, sand in there. You can also use salt if you'd like. Something that just won't burn, because this will get very warm. I have this candle here. I can use a lighter. I just find that the candle's a little easier. And you'll notice, oh, it's sparking. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I don't know if you can see on the video, but there is a red line that's starting to spread, which is good. That means it's going. You want to put this down on the sand before that gets to your fingers. Otherwise, you'll get burnt. And nobody likes getting burnt. So as you'll see, it's on my surface. It's spreading, and I'm going to let it spread. And what I have on hand right now is a little incense from one of the companies we carry at the store that has frankincense in it. It's called Protection. And all the herbs in it will work just as well in clearing out my energy. So I'm going to take a little bit, and it really is a little bit. This is a little spoon. And this is probably more than I need. This room is going to get very smoky. So you could use even less. So I'm going to use about half of that. A little more because that's what fell out. You'll see it's starting to smoke. Frankincense has long been used to clear out spaces and energy. So what you can do, you can use your hand or a fan. If you have a fan, it's a really nice way to work with this. But bathing your body in that smoke. You might want to even play around with different plants and different ways of doing this and seeing how it makes you feel. I know that the feeling of frankincense and this smoke has a different feel than the sage. Or Palo Santo, which is another thing that's in that box. You'll notice I've used this one before. It's just a piece of wood. And you light it just like these other guys. This will take a little longer because the end is charred, so I have to go in a little bit. Let that fire get going. See, I have a little ember going there. I want to get it going really well. I keep on blowing on it and using this to bathe my body. Again, energetically, this has a very different feel than the other two. So play around with these. This one doesn't hold an ember very, very long unless you get a really good ember, but I find that you rarely have to put it out. It will go out on its own. Just keep an eye out on it, as you would with any object that's on fire. Another way that you can clear out your energy is with different liquids. This right here is water from a sacred spring, an Abenaki sacred spring that is relatively close to where we live. We go to the springs, we make offerings there, and then we take some of the water to clean our energy body, amongst other things. So you can use a spray like this, and I'm going to get it in my face, and it's cold. Ooh, there we are. But it is really cleansing. It's really lovely. You can do this with a salt water. You can do this with different scented water, rose water. There are sage alternatives. There are different scents and varieties of scents used in clearing, like Florida water, which is not water from Florida, but it's this floral mix that is traditionally used to clear out energy. Or there's hydrosols of Palo Santo or sage or any other of the plants that we've talked about. So that's the video for week 1, covering chakras, covering sensitizing your hands to feel out energy, and then covering different ways to clear out your energetic body. If you have any questions, we look forward to seeing them, hearing them, and getting back to you on the Facebook group. So please don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Until next week, see you then.